Good event.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order for Tuesday, January 9th. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Reading for Charlie. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, would anyone like to add something to the agenda? I would like to add just one name to the Charter Revision Study Committee, and that I passed out as Jack Lynette filled out his application today and Dave turned it in, so we can add him. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of December 6th, the special meeting.
I think we need to do the agenda.
Yes, let's vote on that. Thank you much. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, now, motion to approve the special meeting of December 6th, 2017.
I'll make a motion to approve the special meeting agenda of January...
December.
Excuse me?
December 6th.
I'm looking at the wrong one here.
Maybe I'm looking at that. No,
I messed up here.
okay.
Where am I?
We're doing this.
Okay, December 6th. There we go.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now a motion to approve the, our last meeting of December 19th, the regular minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular minutes of December 19th, 2017.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. All right, communication. Is there any communication? I do have some communication, one that is on the table from the school system. It says on February 13th and February 27th at the East Windsor High School, they're inviting you to join the School Marketing Advisory Committee. It says it's your chance to share the ideas about how we can market the East Windsor Public Schools. Please consider volunteering some time to be part of the group of staff, parents, community members, and high school students to help brainstorm ways we can share our fantastic happenings with others and spread the word. We may use a lottery to determine membership depending on interest. And the important thing, it says light refreshments will be served. So there you go. You have to RSVP to Annie Kolesnik in the Board of Education Department by January 19th. And there's brochures on the table if you haven't picked it up. Another...
Do they say
Go ahead.
what their objective is, and what is there an issue, why they're doing this? Is this something that other towns have done, or is this something that they're doing because of the declining enrollment in schools here?
Well, I think there's competition with charter schools and other regional schools and maybe even private schools. So, and if we lose students to those schools, the magnet schools, then it doesn't help. It doesn't really help us. We don't get the funding we need really in a way. So it probably we're trying to, and I think actually we have a good school system. I think people aren't aware of it. We've had problems in the school system. I know I was part of the Board of Education maybe 6 years ago, and the high school, I'm not sure if it went on probation or almost did, almost lost its accreditation. The elementary school was having trouble. In a sense, it was one of the lower schools in the state. But now the high school has really become national level accreditation. It's been recognized by U.S. News and World Reports. So it's been a vast improvement in the school system, and I think they want people to know that. So, but this is getting people involved too. They said they want to market it.
This is public participation.
Yeah, so I'm probably the one. I think we have to market the town in addition to just the school system. And then some more correspondence I got from the Office of Governor Daniel P. Malloy. It says, Governor Malloy announces state grants to encourage transit-oriented development and responsible growth across Connecticut. $15 million will support 11 projects in towns and cities throughout Connecticut to help generate economic activity and create jobs. And lo and behold, East Windsor is one of the 11, so that's why I brought it up. And it says, East Windsor planning for stormwater management and village center redevelopment in Warehouse Point. $123,000 to develop stormwater management plan and establish new zoning recommendations and other guidelines to promote village-style redevelopment in Warehouse Point. The resulting stormwater management plan will inform land use and zoning recommendations intended to promote village-scale improvements based on conventional complete streets and smart growth principles. A portion of this funding is dedicated toward providing public workshops and additional outreach to citizens for informed throughout the process. Probably there'll be refreshments there too at the public level. And I think one reason the state gave us this money is we've been doing a lot with that roundabout. And I think we got their attention and they realized that Warehouse Point is part of the transit-oriented development with the new train station coming to Windsor Lock. So they're, when they say stormwater management, they're talking about the Blue Ditch, I think. So, and I have to credit Lori Whitten completely for getting this grant. So that's good news. $123,000, and I think she even put it in for what she wanted part of that casino, a $3 million casino upfront fund was to cover that too. So it's good that we got it from the state. And that's all I have for communication. Public participation. Paul.
What a surprise. Okay, in the ongoing treasure hunt for our piece of the Charter Road, Mr. Burnham has no knowledge of this whatsoever. That was brought up, but he doesn't know anything about it, hasn't seen it. He was wondering also. I sent an email to Joe Sauerhofer to see if he knows something. I didn't get a response yet. So I just wanted, that's where it is. And I'm gonna
let me say that Joe Sauerhofer was my source to tell me that he... Fine. So we'll see.
But we'll see what happens. Yeah. But I won't be letting this go until it's found.
Fair enough.
Is there a good likelihood that it's stored someplace, or did it get? Do you think it might have been thrown out?
I have no knowledge, no concept of what might have happened.
Do we know the timing of it?
Yeah, when they redid this painting, they took it off the wall. It had to go somewhere.
And the ceiling was done more or less at the same time. We lowered the ceiling.
All that, no matter what you take down, you either put it back or you put it somewhere. You're not supposed to. I don't care who you are, but I can't tell you what happened, but we're going to try to find out.
Do we have a contractor do that?
No, I think it was Joe Sauerhofer did.
Okay.
Did what?
Painted.
Removed it or, painted?
It really refurbished the whole
I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, that's fine. So, whatever. It may be stored somewhere, and that would be wonderful, because it's historic.
Try to understand this, that when I talked to you last week or something about it, you said it was at the Historical Society.
That's correct.
And it's not there.
No.
Well, it seems to me, from what I've heard so far, there's a pretty limited number of people who would have had access to who took it down and where where did it sit after that? It's not something you put in your pocket to take home.
Correct.
So I think we ought to be able to get to the bottom of it, one phone call.
I thought I had made that phone call, but apparently
Fair
not.
enough.
Paul, you have not yet talked to Joe Seyerhofer?
No, I sent him an email today, and I just wanted to confirm that it's not at the Historical Society. Then I talked to John Burnham specifically. Never saw it, wonders where it is also. Okay, I'm sure we'll come to a conclusion somehow. All right, second item, for what it's worth. Even though this is 250th anniversary related, February is Library Month. And there's going to be a month-long scavenger hunt among the 5 libraries of East Windsor. And that includes 2 in South Windsor and 1 in Ellington, because they were part of East Windsor when we started. So all 5 libraries are working together to put together a little booklet, which is a scavenger hunt challenge for families to visit every one of the libraries and either, as it stands today, answer questions or perform a task and record it in their book. And then the staff of the library will validate that they've done 5 things in each of the libraries. And at the end, their information will be recorded, and there's going to be a drawing and prizes. So it's a month-long event. It's in the works. And here it is, the 9th of January, and it starts February 1st.
We have to publicize it.
We have the publicity is being handled by the committee of the 5 libraries. We're not asking anybody to do
But
anything extra.
we wouldn't mind putting it on the website.
Oh, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
Believe me, there'll be a poster, there'll be information, it's gonna hit the newspapers, it's gonna be on the radio, it's gonna be around, but it's just one of those things that we're still finishing the details. So as soon as it's all available,
Great.
I'll make sure you know about it.
All right. Thank you.
How does the activity of informing the public get paid for? If you're gonna get newsprint and, you know,
We're
and,
not paying for any of it. Everything's gonna be done through free channels. NPR is gonna put it on, or Connecticut Public Radio, or whatever. They're gonna put it on the radio, they've already committed. We're gonna try and hit everything we can that's free. That's the way we're approaching it. So I think it's gonna work well.
Okay, Tom?
You mentioned that about the Rotary in Wells Point. Weren't they gonna come and, after that last session they had here where they had all the boards up and all the stuff on the Wells Point, weren't they coming back like 6-7 weeks afterwards, they said, to give us a little bit more detailed presentation on that?
I don't know.
I mean, I thought there was gonna be a follow-up, I thought, to
Yeah.
that presentation.
And I'll have the answer at the next meeting.
Okay. I do remember them saying something, but unfortunately my memory's not that good.
Okay, further public participation? All right. Board and commission resignations and appointments. Would move to accept, or I would ask for a motion to accept Kathy Billadue's resignation from the pension board.
Move to accept with regret.
Is there a second?
second.
Discussion? Those in favor? Okay. Then we've got 2 committees here, the Broadbrook Mill Site Remediation Committee and the Charter Revision Study Committee. There's 7 people on the nominated, or filled out forms for the Broadbrook Mill Site Remediation Committee. Instead of doing motions for each one separately, would anybody object if we just do one motion for all 7?
No.
Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to appoint the following people to the Broadbrook Mill Site remediation committee. Would somebody want to make that motion? Well, I'll do it. Okay, I move to appoint to the Broadbrook Mill Site Remediation Committee, Jessica Bottomley, Andrew Hoffman, Kurt Mills, Monstream, Lynn Norton, Ram Stanley, Tom Telemini, and Keith Yagaloff. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all discussion?
Excuse me, Bob, I'm just going to add the terms onto that, okay?
Okay, yes, please. So all terms expiring 6/9/2019. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now I'll make another motion. I move to appoint to the Charter Revision Study Committee the following people for terms expiring 7/1/2018. Elizabeth Burns, John Matthews, John Mazza, Keith Yakaloff, William Lose, Charles Samansky, Don Arcari, and Jack Manette. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to the 250th anniversary.
So Saturday is the Red Cross blood drive at the Scout Hall from 8 to 1. We are asking people to pre-register / sign up online at redcross.com. You just got to find our event. And then the next upcoming event is going to be our Kids Winterfest, which is February 24th at the Scout Hall. I don't know the times. I want to say 10 to 4, but I'm not completely sure on that. But it's basically going to be crafts, arts and crafts, games, Legos, cake, cookie decorating. We're going to have a sleigh outside to take pictures in, and then weather permitting, we'll do a snowman contest or some kind of snow winter activity. So that is a free admission to the public. So those are our next upcoming events, along with the library's event.
Trump for his horses.
Oh,
Yeah, Shrimp Torch as long as there's no ice. So that's
Yeah,
kind of
maybe
a
a
weather
sleigh?
dependent thing. Yeah,
Wow.
that's what we're hoping for. We just hope that we don't get any ice because then they won't pay for our stuff. So
So that's Saturday, February when?
24th,
24th.
The blood drive is when?
this coming Saturday from 8 to 1 at Scout Hall.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, does the Red Cross, do they contact people that are in the town, so to speak, that have given blood in the past to notify them that this is
I don't
going
know
on?
if they have like who've participated before in other things, but we've got it on our website. And I think they put it out to people who have donated in the past, just in general, not necessarily to East Windsor. So,
Why I ask is my wife has always donated blood, and so
Oh,
she
okay.
gets a call from them that there's this blood drive that's, in the area,
Yeah.
either Enfield or Vernon or something.
then I'm going to assume yes, they do. I don't personally know if they do that or not, but they're going to provide all the snacks and stuff for us. Just going to provide them the tables and the place to do it.
I hope they do it because it's a reminder for people, because you don't forget, that's going
Yeah,
on.
I just personally don't know, so.
And I heard that there's a shortage of blood now. I have no authority on that, but I guess there's a need for it right now.
So if you want to donate, just show up, sign up, make it work.
I don't want to scare anybody, but I'm going to be there helping.
He has no control over any needles. Yeah. That's it.
And about masquerade ball?
Oh, people saw or mentioned it earlier about the paper. We
Yeah.
were in the paper for the masquerade ball yesterday. I believe it was yesterday's paper, and then today's paper for some of our photos from the masquerade ball. It was very successful. Everybody had a great time. And yeah, we look forward to the next
Yeah.
event.
How many did you have attend?
We had roughly 100 people. I don't know the exact number, but we were
that's
very
good.
close to 100. So
Good, that's great.
very, very pleased with the whole event, and I think everybody had a great time. So raffles went well. We had 20 raffle prizes. 90% of them were donated. We had done a couple of them as 250 committee, but other than that, everything else was donated, so we raised the,
So two of them were, weren't they Foxwoods and Mohegan?
Connor had gotten those for me.
Yeah, so they were donated. So
Yep.
it's good to have a casino
We
in
certainly
town.
donated them. We had Bruins tickets, for Boston Bruins, and then the Sign Family Farm had donated something, Swedes Jewelers, Golden Irene, so we had several local East Windsor businesses donate as well, so, very good.
And then the New Year's Day hike was another success. Also,
That was
we had
not
70 people, well, part of the
It was
250.
a very cold day.
It was
Yeah, it was
a
cold.
little cold, yes. We shortened the hike.
Okay, good, yeah.
DEP suggested that we shorten the hike, and we did, all except one leader went all the way around.
I did go to the 250, it was fun, and I wasn't sure about the masks, but in the beginning, a lot of people had masks on. There was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they
just to
lasted
see
longer
it.
than I thought they were
Yeah,
going to.
yeah.
I could not.
They were tough when you had to have glasses on.
That, yeah, I determined that immediately. But, okay, the casino. Does anybody have anything they want to say, any board member about the casino? Yes?
Well, they were in front of the Wetlands Commission,
Oh,
and they were looking to change the wetlands map. And the purpose of the application is simply to establish the current and accurate wetlands delineation. Okay. So it was 6.22 acres, and I guess the new one that they had done ended up at 4.96 acres. So it's less wetlands for them, which should make it a little easier for them to have a little more impervious coverage.
Have they made any projections as to when they expect to start demolition or?
no, but I think it's pretty close, and the only thing I wanted to bring up is I read this in the newspaper. It was in the Hartford Current, and I'll just read you a little of it. It said, Kontomakos and Rappaport, the chief executives of Mohegan Gaming and Entertainment, said that MMCT has hired an architectural firm, JCJ Architect of Hartford, a general contractor, Tooten Carini Building Corporation, based in California, a construction manager, Barino and Associates of New Jersey, and a marketing firm, Cronin of Glastonbury. Everyone brought in has experience in hospitality and gaming of resorts or a combination thereof. At the end of the day, this project will be symbolic of Mohegan and Foxwoods, Rappaport said. Cronin said he has been working on a name, brand, and logo for the new venue. So we have to have a name for our casino. Don't know. We could work on that ourselves. That'd be interesting. The only other thing I want to say, I put on again our the first ordinance that to separate the $3 million casino hosting fee from the general fund, and the only thing let's see, I did add it. There was a little bit added to the last sentence, and I don't have the latest copy in front of me, but I think it said something about organized development. Amy, do you?
Orderly town
Development.
growth.
Or orderly town growth, so it would say, the town of East Windsor, the expenditures shall include but not limited to public safety, orderly town growth, public service, and educational expenses. So, and I put that, hopefully I put the latest on the table. Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, I really hope that we can move this thing forward and show the voters in town that we are pushing to have this done. I know the casino is not, being built, but we should have all this stuff in place. Is there any reason that we can't you know, when Jason gets back next week, if we can't come to an agreement as to whether this is an acceptable first ordinance, and then pursue it by giving it to our legal firm, and then call for a, you know, a town
Meeting.
referendum.
I would say generally no. I think I would like to put it before the Board of Finance, and they're probably going to meet the third Wednesday of the month, which is the 17th. So I think I'll do that, but then we'll meet again in the 19th, so that would be when Jason's here. One thing I was considering, we could put that on the first budget referendum if we wanted to have a referendum rather than a town meeting to vote on it. That's just something to consider. I don't know.
My brother's would be to have a separate vote on it, and my desire would be to make it simple enough so it's very understandable, and the voters know that all we're looking to do here is to place the funds in a separate account where it cannot get commingled with the general fund. I think that's understandable. I believe the voters in town will like that, and I believe that if you have a standalone referendum, I think you have a good chance of getting people to agree that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but you say referendum, do you mean
Or a town meeting.
town
I'm
meeting?
sorry.
Town meeting vote, yeah.
Yeah, town
That
meeting.
sounds good.
And what could we do for timing? Can we get that done by mid-February?
Well,
I think we have to show
yeah,
progress.
I agree
You know,
with what you're saying.
We have a need for a board plan that we show the town folks. I think we have to show them that we really are pursuing issues like this that are important to the town. And I think we should step out smartly.
Okay, I again agree with everything you said. My question, maybe we can resolve this at the next meeting. I'd say yes. Have to get dates, probably we want to do in the high school auditorium. It makes sense this time, and so we'll see when that's available. And then we want to publicize it well. A lot of people, we just don't want to surprise them, so we should talk about that a little more, how we're going to publicize it.
Don't worry, I'll put my signs up to vote no, because I'm totally against this.
Okay.
I will not, I've been against this from the beginning.
Why is that, Steve?
I will not give the police department 1 cent. I will not give, the school system anything. I don't think they deserve it. I don't know why they even need it. The fire department, they don't talk about the 180,000 more they're gonna get on that tax down there, on that building. They don't even mention it. And they don't mention the fact that you can't stop them, even if you give them some money. You cannot stop them from raising that tax in that fire district. You can't stop them. They can do what they want down there. So I'm gonna be against this, guys. You can hate me if you want. I love you guys. But I'm gonna push again like I did the last time to get the people to come and vote no. All right, now I want this to go into the general fund.
Really?
Yes, I do. That doesn't mean everybody's gonna get their hands on it,
It's less
because
likely-
we have a 2%.
But it's
if
less
it
likely to
keeps
have
failing.
people get their hands on it if it sits in a separate fund.
If it sits in a separate fund, you're gonna have the police department saying, that's our money. You're gonna have the fire department saying, that's our money.
But they
You're gonna
don't-
have the school system saying, that's our money.
But that is not something that, they can say it all they want.
That's right, they can say it all they want, and they're gonna get their hands on it eventually.
That's
if
only
there- if there's
we
an
allow-
issue.
That's only if we allow it, isn't it?
If there's an issue, you come before us. If there's an issue, and we can fix it quick, say you need more officers because of all these problems, I'll vote to give them more officers, but do you think I'm gonna put this money somewhere where everybody's drooling over it? I'm not doing it.
Okay,
But
and I
Steve-
think,
But I've said enough, and this is where I stand,
No,
and
it's
everybody
a good
knows that.
discussion. I don't think that verbiage there tells them they're gonna get they're gonna get that money.
But they think they will.
That's okay. What people think and what happens are
hey,
two separate things.
I'd like to say something. I think, like, in this, it does say that the purpose of this money is to see that the casino has a positive impact on East Windsor. That's the idea. And I'm just expressing views that I've heard, and I think it's a good discussion. It's good that you brought that up, Steve, because we need to have a discussion about the things like this, and maybe we don't want to rush into it too quickly. By putting this, what we call a hosting fee, the $3 million, that's not really tax revenue, which is the hosting fee that they have agreed to pay us, in a separate fund, we can use that. And you're right, that people, but that's, to use this in a separate, have it in a separate fund and use it to make improvements in East Windsor. A lot of people said, well, if we put it in the general fund, it'll just be used for anything and we'll see nothing of this. But if we put it in a special fund, then we can use that money the way we want to. And we haven't, we can, and we have to, putting it in a special fund doesn't lose the money, it just separates it. But we have to determine then, and we'll have to make another ordinance of how this is going to be handled. And a little later in this meeting, we're going to go through the budget process of how we determine how much our budget's going to be, which will be a little over $37 million next year, and it goes through a process. And once we look at that process, I think we'll have an idea of a process that might be developed to use the $3 million to really improve East Windsor. And so I think this is a good discussion to have, and we should kind of come to an agreement. We don't have to, kind of change each other's minds. I think there's some work to be done, and the work is, how is it going to be distributed? If someone comes in and the fire department says, I need 3 full-time guys, well, maybe they don't really. And the school system, they actually have come in and said, for the upfront money, we don't need any of that, because we're not going to have any students before they open the doors. It's when they open the doors that we'll have more students come, because there'll be more housing. But I think this is a good discussion, but that was my 2 cents now.
Steve, you said before, and I agree 100%, that people, just use them, the police department, fire department, and I don't care who else, that ask for some large increase in funds because they think something's going to happen. That's wrong. We have to take and look at what they need today, and it's an iterative thing. If they need 2 people in 2019, then we agree on 2 people in 2019. If they need another 2 in 2020, then we can talk about that. But if they come in and say we need 14 people in 2018, we all know that they don't need that, probably. I'd sure like to have someone tell me why they need some large number up front before the casino gets going. And I don't know much about our police chief, but I gotta believe that he is aware enough so that he knows that if he comes in asking for something outlandish, that we aren't going to agree. And I think all this does is sets a base that we can work from. It doesn't, if the fact that we say public safety, that doesn't mean that we're giving them a free ride for 5 people or 10 people in the first year. We won't agree with that.
I gotta see something happening, I gotta see a problem before I will vote to give any money to anybody.
And that's okay. But the fact that you have this thing in place.
But I think that's way too much money to put in that fund. I think it's way too much money.
Well,
From my standpoint,
Go ahead.
okay, I agree with everybody and what you said here. but from my perspective, we need to have something in print that says the $3 million is going to go into a segregated account. And I have problems with, like you, Steve, with really the last line that's in this ordinance, who it's going to. And I think we can become a little more specific yet general that it is for the direct impact that is caused by the casino, that whatever has to be fulfilled. So that no one should be counting, and no group should be counting on what the money is, because they're going to have to come for that. But if we don't put it into a separate account, history has told us, just like the state of Connecticut, when they came out with the lottery, what were they going to do with the lottery money? It was all going to education. What happened to it? That was short-lived, and then it went into the general fund.
And disappeared forever.
Exactly. So I'm fully supportive that we have something that segments that money so that we know there are going to be things that will be required, that would just have to be, to cover what this is going to do to certain entities, certain pieces, whatever that might be. And we really won't know that until we get into it. But I think if we can fix that last line in there to be more specific yet general.
And that that's what it's there on the table for.
Then I think, I think we should do something like that.
Steve, can we get you to smile if we take that last sentence out?
I'm going to tell you right up front again, and I've said it before. This money is slated for the unions.
Slated for the union?
That's what this is all about.
Only if we let that happen, isn't that
The
true?
unions want this money. They want all the help they can hire. I mean, I've heard crazy stuff like 12 permanent firefighters in Warehouse Point. I've heard something like that. Actually, it was in they gave us a wish list again. I don't have it with me. But when I looked at that, I said I couldn't believe it. It was worse than the one they presented when they were meeting with the tribes. It was unbelievable. And we can't give Broadbrook 2 full-time, part-time guys during the day. But we'll cut the 2 guys so that they can't fight a fire on this side of town. But the police department got 7% the year before, and they got 6% the last time. So this is craziness. And it's all about, and you get 12, say if you got 12 firefighters down in Warehouse, I don't know why you need them. That building is gonna be sprinklered like no tomorrow, even the parking garage, all right? You get that many guys down there, and you know what's gonna be next? Here comes the union, all right? Here comes the union. And we know what happens with unions.
But isn't it
You're
incumbent?
fighting them constantly. You constantly fight them at contract time, and every year they get a pay raise. I mean, it boggles my mind. The private people don't get a pay raise every year, We don't. And that's what I think, this is what this is all about. 12 new officers.
But-
Let's say, what if they went out of business?
But wait,
How are you gonna get rid of them 12 officers? Okay?
Well, actually,
If they went out of business, how would you get rid of them? Isn't that what happened to the state of Connecticut?
I think you could.
The labor is what bankrupt the state of Connecticut, practically, is the labor force.
That's true.
And we're not gonna get in that position. I'm not gonna allow it. I'm not gonna vote for this.
But, so we can make a caveat there, and I know I've talked with the police chief and asked him the same question, and he said we could lay them off, and the unions couldn't stop him laying them off if they didn't need them.
I think they'll put up a hell of a fight.
Possible.
And there was something else I wanted to say, but I got a brain fart.
Well, that's
What the
okay.
heck was
Well,
it?
I think we'll have other times to talk.
Well,
But, and I would say that another thing too is, if the fund ever, like we're getting $3 million, so we're arguing about things of the $3 million, well, eventually if, for something, then a year later we get another $3 million, and then every year $3 million. If it's not spent, if you get to a certain limit, you say, okay, there's $6 million in this fund, well then you could start putting it into the general fund, because you have an amount of money that you know is going to deal with the impact of the casino. So you don't need to keep building it up, but you would be still getting money every year, and you'd have to decide where you wanted to put that money.
my thing was, I wanted to see the taxes not go up every year in this town.
Well,
I don't want to see that. We got all this money coming. we can keep things flat. We don't have to keep raising taxes on the people in East Windsor.
And I agree with that too. I think though, when they knock down the showcase, you're not gonna see an increase in taxes. You gotta wait for them to build it, which is 2 years, and then you will see, your taxes go down a little bit, so. But, because we also, with our 2%, that's about $800,000 a year we keep increasing our budget by, which we might kind of have to need. And so we'll see how that goes.
What I'd like to ask you to think about, Steve, is what can we do to this document and keep it simple, where we, and...
Where I would agree with it.
Yeah,
Just say it.
I don't like the goddamn signs, I'm saying.
Just say it, all right?
But,
I'll tell you, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna put it on the dash of my truck, and I'm gonna read this over and over again while I'm driving. And,
I'd like a Rolls Royce, but I probably don't get one either.
I don't have a Rolls Royce.
I know, but you're saying these people are asking for a Rolls Royce. I don't
I
have
do
one.
believe they are.
And that's okay, but they don't get one if we say no.
One of the things
I'm
I
gonna
think
look at this. and
we
I'm
should
gonna-
add-
Charlie?
One of the things I think, we should add to this is that we don't know what that expenditure is gonna be. I agree with Steve, until we get into this, it's never gonna be more than 3, because we're not getting more than 3. So.
Annually.
But annually. So if that is the case, and we're able to manage with whatever it is we need to do, and there is a surplus, something should be in this document to say, at 24 months or 36 months, whatever surplus is in there, then that goes back to reduce taxes.
Back to the general fund.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, I think it's better than going to the general fund.
Yeah.
Or
They could do
back to
reduce-
reduce tax, and you can do, you could have different ways to reduce taxes. So that's one thing that came to my mind when you said that, is you could actually send out a check to all the taxpayers.
And I'm good with that, too.
I wouldn't send out checks.
No.
Just, you know something, in my opinion, I don't think you really, you just keep it the same. Like, there's been a few towns around that didn't, they stayed the same, you know? But I think 3 million is too much, to begin with. Now, say if you had 1 million,
Yeah.
and things, I mean, if they get that far out of hand, we can call in the cavalry, I guess, and surround the place, but, I mean, we could always add more to it if we saw a need for it, right?
Well, I hear what you're saying.
Okay, now, if you got $1 million in there, anything over the 1 million, if it builds up after 1 year, there's still, 500,000 in there, and then another 1 million goes in, now you got $1.5 million. Well, that 500,000, we put it in the general fund to run this town and give the people some relief here.
That's a second ordinance, though, isn't it?
You know?
The dispensing of money.
Right, but I think this is way too much to begin with. All right, I think maybe $1 million. Now I'm acting like Trump here, I'm giving a little bit. I think maybe $1 million on this would be plenty. How many police officers can you hire with $1 million? You can hire a lot,
Yeah, you're probably
okay?
good.
I don't think we need 3 million in there.
All right.
I don't think so.
But the fact that it's there doesn't mean we have to spend it. There's nothing wrong, but there's something good with what Charlie said, and that is that, if we do not use it, then we find a way of getting it to the taxpayers.
I understand that,
And,
and
as a
that's what I want to
reduction.
do anyway. But I think $1 million is a lot of money. You can hire a lot of people with $1 million. If you need to hire somebody, you can hire a lot of people with that.
Okay. I think we need some more work, but this was a good discussion.
Yeah, it's all right.
You're gonna take a look at that and see what you,
I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna make some notes on it. I'll try to do this.
Good.
Do it at
I
traffic
don't
lights
wanna-
when you're stopped.
I don't wanna be a stalemate here.
Okay.
I wanna keep the job moving forward.
let's not get too ornery with this, okay?
I ain't all right.
But after all this is said and done, I do believe we should get out to the voters
Yeah,
in a town meeting, really ASAP.
I agree with
They
what
have to
you're
know
saying.
we're on top of this,
Yeah,
and we're working the problem
and
with something simple that they can agree with.
maybe, just hearing this discussion, maybe I tried to make it a simple ordinance that, like you said, that would be pretty simple to vote on, but maybe we need two. Maybe we need this ordinance and then the second one, and maybe,
But one at a time, I think, Bob.
Yeah,
The
okay.
second one is going to be very controversial. The one that was proposed, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months ago,
yeah.
that was very controversial. It was very complex. We have to make this one very simple so that people know we are moving forward, that we are taking some money and we're putting it aside in a fund which will deal with the impact of the casino on our town, for the town good. And then after that, we should work very hard to put together something that is understandable and reasonably simple that tells people how we're going to dispense it. Just let me go wild here for a minute. I really believe that the Board of Selectmen, or the first Selectman, should have some discretionary money. What if something bad comes up all of a sudden? I would think that there should be some amount of money in this fund that the board can reach out and say, we missed it in the fire department, we missed it in the police department, we need to do this instead. And we can reach out and get that without going back to the town folks to vote it in, because that's time consuming. If nothing else, it's time consuming. And in many cases, time is of the essence.
Well, usually we can schedule a town meeting in about 5 days. And we have a supplemental appropriation kind of process already in place that we could put the same process in with the Casino Impact Fund. We could have the Board of Selectmen say, well, we'd like to authorize so much money, $30,000 for this, and we ask the Board of Finance to approve it, yes, and then it goes to a town meeting, and you can do that fairly quickly.
I just don't want to have us look like a bunch of country bumpkins.
Yeah.
And not support the Indian nations. They've made a big change in our town. It's kind of like Millstone 1, 2, and 3, when that went into Haddam. The people almost pay no taxes now. It's not going to be quite that good for us here, but it's going to lower taxes unless we go crazy at some point in time. Not necessarily with the $3 million up front and $3 million annually, but when they start paying taxes on that facility, and the facility grows, and I'll bet you it does. Nothing the Indians touch stays as is. It grows all the time.
Yeah, and you're right, that maybe we could have like a contingency fund that the board would have.
Not something we hide. We tell the
Yeah.
town folks, this is what
Yeah.
we've got,
Yeah.
and these are the reasons we need to have it.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to move in a week or two to support the Indian nations. They're doing one heck of a good thing for us.
Well, like Bob said, we have our meetings, people come in, they vote on, what we tell them we need. The people, when they come in here, they're reasonable people here. I don't hardly ever see, I don't know if I've ever seen them vote no on anything.
Okay, I don't know that, Steve.
That they feel that we're doing the right thing with the money.
Okay.
And we say we need this amount of money to do it, and we have a vote, and the people usually say yes.
Okay, you got a lot more experience than that.
So the people in East Windsor are pretty understanding, okay? And they know we're not gonna we're not squandering money in this town, You don't just throw it up in the wind around here.
I just don't want to have,
But it's good to have the people come and vote on this stuff. Let them vote, let them say yes. Then everybody said they got their voice involved here.
I think the biggest thing in the last time that it went before the townspeople to vote is that it was, whether it's fact or it's not, that there was special interest. Who was going to manage that money? Who was going to get it? That was more the issue. And, you know, there's got to be controls there. There's no special interest here. It's got to be for a said purpose, and that everybody agrees with that.
See, if I got any of the flavor from the people around me in that meeting, when the orders got turned down, they were talking about the fact that they thought they, as the town folks, should have a say in how that's going to be dispensed. And I was talking to a bunch of people, and they were talking about the fact that they believe that that we should provide them line item approval. Not a whole budget, but if we propose to them that we're going to hire 2 policemen and 1 fireman, that they can vote yes or no on those particular items. If we're going to hire somebody else or, you know, put in better street lighting or what, it's on us, then they want the right, the ability to say yes or no on those things. Now, I'm not sure whether that's the right thing to do or not, but I do think the more involved we get the taxpayers, the better off we're going to be.
I agree with that. I agree with that. People live here, they pay taxes here.
They should have a
I
voice.
mean, only a handful of people show up all the time here, you know? And even when you have the public meetings for votes on money, you don't get a lot of people, you know? It's always really the same people that show up. That I guess I'm gonna say care,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
Okay,
All right, well,
if there's no more discussion, we'll go to the next topic. It was a good discussion, I appreciate it. I think you said what had to be said.
So in conclusion, that moving forward, that we're going to kind of review this in the February meeting, we're going to have a further discussion about it. Is
Well,
that-
we'll have it at the next, every meeting we'll have it.
Okay.
So, January 19th. Is that right?
And as a goal, we're going to present this to the town in February.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that's a good goal.
I think we should try to do that, I really do.
All right.
It makes us look like we're, and that's, perception is a lot, isn't it? Perception's everything. If people think that we're doing a good job, and working hard in their best interest, then it's going to be better.
you know, I ran this time on get the job done board.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I ran on. Everything said, get the job done board, and not keep dragging things out and dragging it out.
Yeah, no, I agree, Steve.
I mean, there's
That's
no
what we're here.
reason, we're a little town here. I mean, things shouldn't take months and months to get straightened out. We should be able to sit here with a little input from the public and make decisions here and run with them and get it done, you know? And that's what I wanna see get done. I wanna see things get done, not pushed back and pushed back and pushed back.
Therefore, we have to say, we're gonna do it by this date. Or there's never any reason to make it, okay? We're gonna do it by February 15th.
I'm gonna do my best.
We have to have targets.
Yeah, okay. And
Period.
we
The other
do,
thing,
10D is Board of Selectmen plan, so we'll talk about some of that then, but go ahead.
okay, the other question I have regarding the casino at the last meeting, I believe there was discussion about having someone, I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name now, to come from the casino, from the tribe, on a monthly basis or whatever, to meet with us, to give us updates as to where they are, what issues they're having and so forth. I don't know if you've been able
Well,
to
we
reach
do.
out
It's
to them
David
yet.
Chapelio, ain't it?
That is our
That's our
contact.
contact,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we, actually I called him today, he didn't call me back, but I'm not sure that they're in a position to really give us, I mean, it's not like they're well coordinated, they don't even have a name for our casino yet, and they're working on that, so there's a lot of different components here that haven't been drawn together.
Almost as much for anything other than anything else. I think that we have to show that we're a willing partner with them by showing interest in what they're doing. You know, and ask if we can do something good for them. Like, for example, when they do start the demolition of a building, why doesn't the town take out an article in the Journal Inquirer that says, you know, this is happening, and they could do it.
Oh, yeah, I think,
Chump change for them, but I'd like to have them think that, you know, we're not just a bunch of slugs that are waiting for money to be thrown in our pocket, that we're really reaching out to them and we want to work with them. And you know that better than-
I think they know
Okay.
that we're working with them, and we're pushing them. I both, planning and zoning, and Lori is, and I am, but you're right, when, I'm looking forward to when that Showcase Cinema starts to be demolished, and I can see going down there with a camera almost
I'm
every
gonna go down there
day.
with a sledgehammer and hit the building
I'll
before they
take
hit it with
pictures
the
of-
wrecking ball.
There you go. We'll take pictures of you, Steve, and we'll actually can take video too. We can put it on our website,
Oh, for
and
fun.
and on our Facebook, so we can get people involved, and I'm sure the paper will get involved too.
But I think, Bob, we crossed over into 18, and this has been going on since last March, that when that was approved, if my timing is correct,
Well, what was approved?
when you did the deal.
Yeah, we did the deal with them, but it was kind of approved in the state legislature in
I
June, the end of June.
understand that,
Yeah.
but we moved into 2018, and I think it would behoove us if you were to send this person a letter saying that, you know, we want to support the activities of what we have, you know, putting up this casino, whatever that might be, and we'd like to invite you to a monthly meeting of the Board of Selectmen, if you choose to attend, to provide an update, because they have a lot of things going on if this is really going
They
to
do,
come
and
together. And
this-
they should share that with
Yeah,
us.
this David Capiola, I think, I can ask him to be here at every meeting, not even monthly, twice a month.
I think
Yeah.
once a month would be sufficient
Okay.
to give us an update, so that there might be things that they haven't, we're unaware of, and then they come to you at the last second and say,
Yeah.
well, you know, we gotta do something here. I don't know what those are.
Oh,
But
that was
I think a
interesting.
letter to them would be
Yeah.
the right thing to do.
Okay, all right, no problem.
And you have that contact to be able to start that process.
Sure.
That makes sense?
I'm sure everything they do, everything they make, it's
Well,
gonna
it-
be in the JI.
Another thing that, probably this David Capiola hasn't called you up, has he, Charlie?
No.
I think that I'll ask him to give each of you a call next week, or even this week, starting this week. So you should get a call by Friday.
Okay.
Okay. We'll move on to 10C, discussion of the Board of Selectmen budget review process. And I have something to pass out, which is our budget schedule.
See right here, Bob.
Well, I changed it,
Oh,
or it
you
has
did?
been changed, yes.
Okay.
We also got in our package, budget procedures,
Right,
several pages of it.
right.
And I read through that, and I had known this pretty much before I read through it. But my question is, what can we expect to get from the town departments, commissions and so on, that are looking for money? What kind of support, information can we get from them? And, you know, I've heard people say they were trying to micromanage. I don't want to micromanage them, but I also don't want to sign up for something if I don't understand it.
Yeah, and I don't, in your packet, didn't you get this, something
Yes.
like this?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you'll get from every department. And what this was last year's submission by the first selectman's office, that's my office. And it goes down and it lists exactly what monies they want for what. And then it's a detail, and then in the detail down here, it lists a budget for public hearings, it's $7,000. CCM Job Bank listing request proposal, $3,950. InfoShred, $300, and so it really is very specific. And in this, what we have to talk about tonight really is in the if you look at this chart and what I've changed the dates here. It used to say on February 6th we're going to have the Board of Selectmen and Board of Education would have a public hearing. I've changed it to February 1st because we changed our meeting dates from Tuesday to Thursday. So on the first Thursday in February, we're going to listen to the public. And then we're going on March 21st, we're going to present to the Board of Finance our budget. So we're going to determine our budget between February 1st and March 21st. And what we're going to do is, once we get some dates set, and right now we have 3 dates, which is the February 8th, and February 17th is February 22nd, we'll schedule to have the departments come in with these sheets that I've given you, and you can question every figure that's on here and suggest lower and decide for yourselves what the budget should be.
And can we expect to have them have backup information as to why?
Absolutely.
That number?
Absolutely, yes. And no question. And we can even, if you'd like, have some input into which department you want to schedule when.
And will we get their request and their supporting data in advance of the meeting so we can look at it?
Yes, and you'll get it. What I'm going to do between now and the beginning of February is actually make up all these requests and view them. And so I'll have them. I'll give them to you. I can give them to you. I can dribble them out, or I can give them to you in a package. And maybe I should do both. Is when I talk to them and agree, then I can send you all a copy in advance.
Dribbling out would be fine with me,
Yeah,
because I'd like to
yeah.
look at them individually anyway.
Sure, sure. And then you can have questions when they come in. They'll come in and sit before us, and we can ask them any question. The public's invited, and so it'll be on television or on the YouTube, so we should know what's going on. So it'll be the first year we do that, so that'll be interesting. But actually, while we're at it, we probably should come up with a couple more dates. And what days of the week do you think they might want to do that?
Can I just give you some input?
Sure.
This date that you've chosen for February 8th,
Mm-hmm.
that's a Veterans Commission meeting here in this room, I believe.
Okay.
So
Let's
we'll
see.
either have to ask them to relocate, or we'll relocate, whatever, because you're going to need your days.
February 8th is a Thursday. And I
I
think
the veterans meet that night, I believe.
they might have changed their meetings to Tuesdays. So,
The veterans, okay.
Can I just ask, did you say February 8th or February 1st for the public hearing?
the public hearing is, and that's a change. It used to be February 6th, I think, but now we've changed it to February 1st, if that's okay.
I don't know, I'll have to find out.
That's true.
First I'm hearing of
And there
it, I
were
don't know.
Yeah, the 2 people I told Jen to contact, and that was you and Kristen.
Chris.
Yeah, DeBarge, yeah. So, and we only realized it just recently. And when I looked at this, I said, wait a minute, that's the old Tuesday date. So, but it's only for a public hearing. So basically, all you have to do is show up and listen. So.
If we can show up, I'm sure we will. I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. That would be helpful. If not, then we'll have to We'll have to show up and listen and at a different time.
There's no law that says we can't have them at separate times. It just makes more sense to have them together.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So, do we have any ideas on when we might want to have, because I was thinking, well, between February 8th and February 17th. February 17th is a Saturday. We do have some on Saturdays.
We should consider more Saturdays, because you really do a lot of work on a Saturday.
What do you think, Charlie?
Pardon?
I was asking Charlie what he thinks about days when we might have, sit down and hear the departments present their needs.
You're thinking Saturdays to do that? I don't know if they'll do it.
Oh, yeah, some of them might, yeah. Do you want Jen to make up a couple more and just, or do you want to send emails to what days are good for you, some nights, or how you want to do this?
Yeah, I can give you the dates.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so
I'll get
let's,
back to you with that.
okay, that's what
Can
we
I
can
just let
do.
you know too, when you're doing your public hearings?
The
you have
public
to be
hearing,
noticed?
yeah, right. Right now, it's going to, it's okay with Kathy and Chris DeBarge, then we'll do it February 1st.
Whatever days you guys want to choose is fine with me.
Okay.
I can work around anybody's schedule.
Okay, so we'll have to get places to meet. If we can't meet here, we'll have to get another place to meet, maybe Scout Hall or something like that. Okay, any questions, further questions on the budget process? Okay, and then we'll move on to the Board of Selectmen plan. And I passed something out, just, I found it in the I guess it was the North Central News. And what they did is ask regional first selectmen what their New Year's resolutions were. And so the other towns, Ellington, Enfield, Summers, Stafford, Windsor Locks, Suffield, are doing planning also. So that should be. But getting back to ours, Andy put something out, and I sent it. I think he sent it to all the selectmen, and this is what he said. Dispose of mill issue, 6 months. So he put time frames on that. Hire an economic developer, 9 months, and that's interesting because we'll have to put it in the budget, which 9 months would fit because take us 6 months just to put aside funds for him. Complete study of town charter, 3 months, and that's, I think we have a committee we put in place and gave them that charge. Hold town meeting to approve the ordinance, and we've said we're going to discuss it next meeting, and our target would be February 15th. Pretty aggressive target, I think, but we'll see. Develop and implement a drug awareness program, 6 months. I think it's going to take, and it's going to take some work on that. So let's maybe Mark come back to that. And the next one's too. Study the need for a grant writer and define how he or she will be paid. 6 months. Might take some work for that. Develop written procedures for vetting committee and commission members. 4 months. What I would say is maybe and I'd like some feedback on this, as a team, two of you guys want to get together sometime during the week, I would be happy to get together with you. Or I would encourage you to get together. If you have to, you have to let me know a day in advance, because if the three of us got together, that would be a special meeting.
Yeah.
So I'd have to post it a day in advance, so we could sit here and meet. So that would be a way to put some more details in, like developing and implementing a drug awareness program. Somebody's got to put some things into place to do that. And maybe we would want to talk to some people. I'm sure we would. I think, people that come to mind would be the school system, the police department, and our new community recreational director.
And also, go outside of our town to see what other towns are doing and how they think it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to the state about what they have, for statewide type programs. The fact that they have a statewide program doesn't necessarily mean we have to lift it all. If we find something in there that we think might improve our performance here in town, then we can take it, take that paragraph or whatever, So that requires a fair amount of study with some people who have a background I don't have, in drug control.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
this
know
is,
how to do that.
actually, this is a new academic, a new thing. The opioid crisis isn't something we're all, and I'm looking here because Chris Kervick of Windsor Locks mentioned opioids.
What are they doing?
Well, I don't know.
What are we gonna do? What are we supposed to do?
Well-
Really, put up a sign on every corner, don't do drugs? What are you supposed to do? Really?
What we have to find out, but I do know what we can do to some degree. And there's seminars around that answer those questions, and I think just if someone in your family or somebody, if there's a drug problem, you dial 211. That'll get you answers you need. There's also, I think, a website called DUMAS, DUMAS. You go to that, and again, it gets you help. Just to disseminate that information around the towns would be helpful. And ways to do it is, I would talk to again Melissa Maltese. She's good at, and the police department they have a good Facebook page, and the school department, I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're active in that too. So let's find out what they're doing.
Melissa would be a good place to start and have her put together an outline for a plan and who to contact and so on. I'll bet you, and I don't know this at all, I'm talking so smart, that hospitals like Hartford Hospital, St. Francis, UConn Medical Center, they probably have people who will go out and speak to high schools and middle schools, at no cost, because this state, like a whole bunch of states in our country, are really struggling with this issue. This is, blown up on them.
Yeah, it has, and I forgot the name of it, but there's Melissa gets funding to host, and she has hosted like two of these at least at the schools, and to give information about this thing. So I think if we're aware of it, we'll make sure it's coordinated, and encourage it and help it in any way we can. That would be a good start.
If we were to ask her to put together an outline and the resources that she would like to tap, and whether they are cost-bearing or whether they will come to us at no cost, and ask her to present it to us the first meeting in February, that should give her enough time to do some reasonable amount of research and come to us with her best idea.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm sure she'd be happy to do that, but I'm also, she's just, as of this week, taken over 3 departments, and so she's got some things that are immediate needs. So I think that as we try to do these things, this plan, we're going to see that right now, the town just running itself, as it always does, not much less trying to take on new projects, is pretty flat out. So that'll be one of our tasks, is to find resources and help that we need, people to help us in what we do.
But is she the right one to define what resources are required in town? You know, I'm sure
Well,
that our
she is
police
it.
department would be deeply involved in it.
Yeah,
Our school system would be deeply involved in it.
So I think those three, that we should get a representative from each one of those and sit down with them and have a conversation.
Yeah, I think it, you know, perhaps the second meeting in February, give them a little time, reach out to the police chief, and maybe they have the resource officer come, whoever they think should be the right person, and Melissa, and I don't know who else, but, you know,
Well,
plans have changed.
Maybe, how about, Kathy, do you think you might have somebody in the school system that, I think there's a counselor that's pretty,
We have a lot of support staff for different things, but certainly if you send Chris the information, we'll see if we can find a person to participate.
Because we need to understand, you know, what are the current things that we're doing. I mean, my understanding is they dropped the DARE program because it was not effective, and so that, you know, so what's taking place of that, if anything, then probably the Department of Public Safety would be one spot that needs to reach out to, and that's the police chief kind of to do this stuff.
Absolutely.
To have like 3 people here, you know, we don't need a whole big group to say what, you know, we want to get our arms around this, and we want to do more than what we've done, and what do you think is the right path here?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say by, you know, having them here, you know, the second meeting in February, and then from there, you know, targeting something by the end of the first quarter.
I would just like to have a date when we're going to do this. And let me just say one thing to disagree with Charlie a bit, and that is that I don't want to listen to 3 people come in and give me disjointed ideas. What I'd like to do is to have those 3 groups get together and have Melissa, if she's the right one, come in and give us a presentation on what they collectively think. That's the, you know, our police force, our school system, and her thoughts on it.
I hear what you're saying, but, and I'll maybe push back a little, because I would like, because the police, in my opinion, have a very good view of what's on the ground, and when they're driving around, and when they get called and have to use Narcan to revive someone, when they go into homes where someone has died and they find out that there's a house, a single-family house that has several apartments in it, and there's conditions that aren't so good. That would be one point of view. And then certainly the school system, from the students that are attending, they have a different point of view, and they have a different perspective. They see different things. So those would be 2 good perspectives, I think, to have. And then another perspective that would be from Melissa and Human Services, what they see there. So I'd like to see the opioid problem through a policeman's eyes, and see it through a school counselor's eyes, and see it through a human resources or human services person. So maybe 3 people, rather than, you know, push it down to 1.
I don't know who the right voice is to present this. It may be the police department, and you're right, they have a single view of it, and their school system has a single view of it. Maybe it's the superintendent of schools or her designated representative that comes in and tells us, you know, collectively what these people believe should be done. But if you bring in 3 people, you're going to get 3 different slants on this thing. And then are we going to be required to sort this out and put it together into a coherent program? Or should we start from the very beginning and ask somebody to put it in that kind of a program to start with? That's my only thought. And I don't know who it is. It may not be Melissa. It may be the superintendent of schools' office. It may be the chief of police's office. I'm not sure where it should come from. But like I say, if we allow 3 groups to come in who are very interested who have good ideas. We are just prolonging the process and kicking the can down the road, and then requiring that one of those groups put together a story that we can, it's a coherent story we can get our arms around.
Okay, I understand.
I disagree in that, you know, I think that they may be differing opinions, but the charge to them from us would be, you need to weave this together so that there is a viable plan to do something about it.
And if that's the case, then somebody should tell us that plan,
Yeah.
not three of them.
Yes.
You agree?
Yes.
That's the only point, Maggie. Somebody should tell us what the plan is.
Right.
Until we get that person, that group to tell us it, then we're gonna get this and that and that. Then we're gonna try to sort out, you know, who the heck is, where the ball is.
Right,
Yeah.
but they need to be together
Yep,
to do that.
I agree.
You know, they can't do that
I
in a
agree.
silo because,
No.
you know, then whoever the dominant one is will give you what they think you want to hear.
All right, Paul.
I'd like to contribute to this. There is a small drug company that announced today that they have developed an opioid, which is nothing but a painkiller, that does not have addictive results and does not have the high that people get from this garbage. And the FDA has them on a fast track to get it developed and on the market quickly, which could replace all this other crap, which is, because it does its job. Kills the pain, doesn't affect the brain, basically. And that's a promising thing. You gotta have a little positive stuff.
Okay. I can just, I have a negative thing. I can just see the drug companies saying, we're not giving up our income and.
They can be told to.
Easily said.
Well, we have somebody in the White House who can do it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've said this before. I still don't know how you think you're gonna stop the people from using these opioids. They're gonna use them, and I don't care what kind of a program you try to do. To me, the only program you're gonna do maybe is in the school, plaster the wall with posters. Don't do drugs, and put a list of what it does to you. But the people that are taking the drugs knows what it does to them. Okay, so they're aware of the problem because they're the users. How are you gonna stop them? Really? You can have all the programs in the world, and I don't know how you're gonna stop these people from doing this stuff.
If we stop 1 out of 10, or 1 out of 20, we're better off
Yeah,
than we
but how are you
are.
gonna stop them though? I mean,
Well,
they're
maybe
doing
make
this
one of them
stuff
think.
and, I mean, all you can do is put it on a website saying, don't do drugs. Put it on the wall in the town hall, don't do drugs. I mean, what else you gonna do? Well, really, what else can you do? You can't have an officer or somebody following a kid up and down the street every day.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know how you're gonna solve that problem.
But that's
You
why
got-
we have to have somebody try to put it together for us, isn't it?
Yeah, but what are they actually gonna put together when you come right down to it? I don't know what they could possibly put together. You're gonna tell these kids or whoever, grown-ups or even, you know, I've never done a drug in my life, but what are you gonna do? But say, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm gonna look at, don't do it. Well, big deal. I told him not to do it. He's gonna go back home or somewhere, and he's gonna do it. So how are you gonna stop him?
I don't know, well, maybe.
I don't
there's some-
understand what kind of a program you can actually put together to make these people stop.
You know, in the
I don't know.
sixties,
I don't know either.
you know, like, early sixties, there was a huge rise in traffic fatalities in the state of Connecticut. You know, there were a lot more my age drivers that were getting on the road and stuff, and, you know, you got the car and you got to get the fastest car you could get, and there was a huge rise in that. And I don't know, guys, can anybody remember this, but the state police put together a film, and they went to the schools with the film, and that film was called Signal 30, and it was, Signal 30 is a radio code for motor vehicle fatality, and they did this, and they filmed the fatalities without blocking anything. and kids saw that, and I'll tell you, they had a big reduction in the speed at which people were driving, the fatalities dropped.
Well, I don't think you can do that today.
Well, maybe not, but I'm just
I don't
telling
think
you.
you can show a
they
dead
did something,
person on
and
the
it was
floor in a school
It was effective.
today without getting into trouble for doing
Do you
that.
remember seeing that?
I have a muscle card.
I remember seeing that. See, you didn't pay attention
Don't
to
you have a
the movie.
Corvette?
You didn't drive it very fast, though, right?
Nah, none of us guys did.
Charlie, I just want to say one thing to that, and I know I've heard this before. This NORCAP, it makes it too easy for some of these people too, because they know that they can be revived by it. And I've heard a lot of pros and cons about that.
Yeah.
That, oh geez, actually, some pharmacists told me that some family bought it because they know their son's a drug addict.
Yeah.
They bought it just to have it in the house. So, I mean, where's the, I kind of agree with Steve in a way. I mean,
What is it, like an EpiPen or something?
Yeah, it goes in your nose.
Is that what it is? Something like
It's
that?
it's like a nasal
Give
spray, I
them 2
think.
squirts in the nose, one each side here, try to bring it back. If you don't
That's
bring it
it.
back, they're done.
And you can buy this right over the counter.
Yeah.
well, does it have to be prescribed, Bill?
Yeah,
I think it has to be prescribed by a doctor.
it's easier.
No.
People, you can get it now from your.
That's not an injection, it's
If you want it, you
inhaled?
can get it.
Huh?
Oh, it's
You want-
inhaled?
Basically.
It's not an injection?
Nasal sprays.
No. Put one on each side of the nose, squirt it in there. Fire department just got them, so the Broad Canal has it.
Okay.
We give them out too.
No, our police
The
department.
trouble is, when you go to these houses where you got them, it's called a medical call. And the drugs can be sitting right next to the person there. You can't do anything with them. The police can't do anything because it's a medical call. If it's a domestic disturbance, then you can arrest them. Or if it's just a medical call, the drugs will sit there, they go in the hospital 3 days and they're back again.
So you can't be arrested for doing drugs.
Right.
Nope.
You know, they wanna
And
have
what-
people-
what's the
they
sense
wanna-
of these
they-
programs?
Okay, well, Keith,
They want people to be able to call for a medical emergency and save somebody's life.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to have to worry about saying, there's drugs right here, and, we shouldn't call to save somebody's life. And the problem is, it's not like 10 years ago, 5 years ago with heroin. All the heroin's got fentanyl. Everything's got fentanyl. And people are dying from it. If it was just heroin, you wouldn't have all these deaths. Because people would overdose and then Narcan would save them, or they would just pass out. It's the fentanyl. It's killing everybody. It's coming in from China, and they mix it in. It's 100, 1,000 times more potent than heroin. And everybody's dying, people that were taking heroin regularly. And if I could just take 1 second to comment.
please.
The police have been dealing with this stuff for years, and they know what they're doing, and it hasn't solved the problem. They make arrests. And the schools have been educating people for years, and they know what they're doing, and it probably saves some lives because it educates people, but it's not solving the problem. And the town staff has programs, but it's not saving the lives. The problem really stems from the communities. There are community programs that work. It's getting people to talk about the fact that it's people we know. It could be your kids, it could be my kids, it could be my nephew, it could be your niece that's dying. And people need to feel more comfortable getting help when they need it, rather than feeling that they're going to be viewed as being drug addicts, like drug fiends, like the old days. So the way that you're successful, communities are successful, is that you as town leaders, we as people in the community, need to start talking about people, address it as a public health issue, and talk about saving lives, and forget about the fact that we want to characterize people as being, drug fiends and terrible people and bad people. And we have to start viewing it as just regular people, because it is my nephew or your niece or your children. It is. And if you think it's not, then you're crazy, because you don't know the reality. You haven't been exposed to reality. But it's the fentanyl. It's coming in and it's killing people that didn't know what they were dealing with before, and it's wiping people out by the dozens in these towns, and they don't know what hit them. These drug users that were doing heroin that are hooked are taking fentanyl. So, I kind of agree with Steve. Town. I said this before. The town isn't supposed to be in the business of fixing these problems. But if we can start talking about people as regular people, make them feel comfortable to come out and get help instead of being stigmatized, that's a good first step. And that's the message I always want to give to people. These are regular. Some of them are bad people, okay, that are stealing and are causing all this violence. But most of them are people that are just our families that are struggling with addiction, that just can't get past it. So that's the thing about them as human beings, which I know you can, I know we will. And then let people feel comfortable knowing they can come and get help. And they should be able to talk to you, Steve. Someone from the community should be able to come up to you and say, Steve, you know, I know you're concerned. Can you point me in the right direction? And
If somebody did that, I would do what I could to help
You
that
would,
person.
right.
But I have never had anybody in my life come to me and say, I'm an addict and I need help. What can I do?
So
Or
the
maybe
goal-
it would be.
Well, I was gonna say, the goal is to get it to community discussion, so someone eventually will come to you and say, what can I do? People have come to me, they've done it, they've come to me, they know how I feel, they say, what can I do to get help? And I stand there, I try to help them, point them in the right direction. That's all I can do, is point them in the right direction. But I don't treat those people as like dirtbags because they do it. They know I put them as human beings. And eventually someone will come to you if you let people know that you're open to giving them help. You just said it. So just by your
I
statement.
would
a minute
help
ago-
anybody that needed help that came to me.
Right.
I mean, for anything, not just for drugs, for anything.
Well, they had on the news, and I forget what town it was, but they were supplying the Narcan to the elementary school. And they said, you know, really, you know, elementary school, they said it wasn't particularly for the students, it was for the staff.
Yeah.
That's how bad this train is going. Okay.
Okay, well, I think we got on this subject because we were talking about a plan. And what I would say is that maybe, like I said, if two of you guys, or three or four of us could get together during the week sometime and hammer this out a little more, I think we'd get somewhere. Let's put some, just with Charlie's chart, we'll put some tasks, not just an end date, but put some details in there. And get to, and along those lines, I wanted to just because we're here, we're gonna, and I put it out, we're really close to developing at least a new front page for our website. So I put it out on the table and I'll pass these down. And again, if anybody wants to give us ideas, we're happy to take ideas. The picture in the back here, that can be changed. So we'll try to get stuff here that maybe makes things easier to read. And this is kind of small, but you put it on a computer screen, it'll fill up the whole screen. You don't need the sides. So, and it's also got a new software underneath it that makes it very usable. For example, up at the top here, you see a search. It says search, and this search really works. You just type in something, and it'll bring up anything that you're looking for. And so also got a video here that we're going to put videos on that would talk about many things. And and I'll be interested to go to the marketing of the school to see how you guys are doing that too. And that's another thing too. One of my things that I like to plan a little bit is, I say empower residents, improve communication. And when I took office, I know there was a $10,000 outreach for the selectmen to use, and that now nothing. But what the heck? There's nothing for the Broadbrook Library either.
You know what I'd like to see for that? You know, you go to different towns, like I go to Bristol a lot and I deliver it that way. And a lot of towns, they have these signs that are lit up.
Yeah.
All right,
Digital
it'll say
signs.
a town meeting tonight, like we have one out in the front here. And you'd have one down in Warehouse Point, find a good spot where it's busy. And I think we should have a couple of them in town. And they don't look gaudy or anything. I mean, they're pretty nice signs. They're done up real well. You know, usually with nice field stone and stuff, you know. And I think that's what we should do. We should have something, some kind of a digital sign or whatever you want to call it. But they look pretty nice a lot, you know.
That's a good idea.
I think that's something
Not on
we
my
should
list,
look at.
but it could be. Kathy?
I believe you have to get the regs changed first.
Excuse me?
You need to get the regs changed first, because the school tried to get a digital sign for the front of the high school, and the regulations in town do not allow digital signs.
We need more research. Get
Well,
the size of the
I'm not
sign.
gonna get into what I think about zoning. Right now,
Just
not
telling you.
tonight.
I'd love to see that change.
I mean, I've seen schools that have, like over in, I go out to Terryville, Bristol has a sign. You get out there, I deliver next to Terryville High School, which
The
is near
Booster
their
Club
industrial
wants to
park. They
donate.
have a nice big digital sign out there that says
Right,
the
I think-
event.
The club had voted to donate the sign. We
Okay.
just need to be allowed to do it.
All right, we can say digital sign.
Now, you wanted this to be the first thing people see when they go for East Windsor?
Yeah.
I kinda like what we had.
I agree.
I don't like
I'll
the colors.
agree too.
Then they
All
can hit one, just say hit one, and then it'll go to this. But I kinda like that old look, what it looked like when you go to the East Windsor.
All right. Well, that's interesting, but,
I mean, it looks like I'm looking at the weather station or something,
all
you
right,
know?
all right. Okay,
Yeah, it's gotta be easy, you wanna make it easy for the people,
all
okay?
right.
Well, it'd be nice not to have to click 4 times before you get to
Yeah,
a
but I
thing that
mean,
says
have
the
a
meeting's
nice
at 7
picture
o'clock.
of it, you know, the country shed and, you know, because that's what we are, we're a farming community here as far as I'm concerned, and I want it to be known as that.
Well, this is a farm picture.
So it's,
Looks like corn.
and then you just say, you know, click, click this, and they hit one button, and boom, there's one button, and it tells them what to do, you know? But,
That's not a bad idea.
But this doesn't look very attractive. If I want to look at East Windsor, and I pop this up on there, what's this, you know?
All right, I hear what you're saying.
Who made this? Like, did a,
I think, today?
no, is there a company that did this, or?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same company that we have. We just said, but no, they didn't do it. I'd say Amanda and I really did it. They did whatever we asked.
So you put what you thought would be nice.
Yeah, basically. And
Like
that's
the old
okay, that's a
tobacco
start.
shed.
This is a straw man, and I like your idea. You could just have a nice scenic view.
Yeah, scenic view of East
And
Windsor, and
Then it's, say,
Tobacco
click here
shed,
for
tobacco.
whatever, and pop, the rest of, this thing comes on.
then this pops up.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right,
Keep it country, man, keep it country.
see, I'll take, so I would say that, all right, that's a suggestion. Other people can give me suggestions.
It's a suggestion.
If you do a big background like that too, you can make a transparency on it, so it's not as bright too.
What do you
Because
mean?
it stands out too much, like you just see the corn. Like you can put a transparency over it, so it's kind of dulled out a little bit.
Okay.
So it does, the writing on it doesn't pop out at you, like, it's right there.
I think you have to show me.
Okay.
Well, if you want to get people involved a little more in town, what we're doing, we have to put something out that, you know, we're contemplating changing the view of the webpage of the town.
Have a little
A
contest.
contest that, you know, send us a picture of what you think it should be, you know, include the schools, because a lot of kids are into photography, and I think they're around all the time taking pictures of stuff, you know, by the pond and so forth, so we ought to do something like that. It'd be interesting, they'll probably come up with some good stuff. Not that you have to change it, but at least we'll get them involved.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. Like I say, sometimes we need not to be, I would say we need Indians, people to do the work. So, but, no, you're right, that'd be a great thing to have.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I showed you. Should have shown you sooner, but actually, okay, we'll work on that.
Can we roll back just to one thing?
Sure.
On the Charter Revision Study Committee, are you going to put out dates of when the committee's going to meet for the first time, and then the committee will decide how frequent it'll need to meet based upon
All right.
what is talked about?
That's true. How many, I think there's a lot of people here.
we need to get that ball moving, so.
Yeah,
I think once you establish a first meeting, Bob,
Yeah.
the committee, or the committee can take care of itself.
Right.
They can decide when they would best meet, and how
Okay.
often.
okay, I'll make a meeting date for both committees.
Okay,
That's true on the mill committee
Yeah,
also.
yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Okay. Okay.
So right now, the charter is just a study committee.
That's
Mm.
correct.
I'd like to be on the real committee.
Okay.
What do you mean, real committee?
But we have a charter review, yeah. Okay. Let's see. All right, so we've taught, now a brochure. Are we through talking about the plan? And,
Yep.
okay. And this is another idea that, that's in your package, and Melissa started to research this, and what it is this company will put out a booklet like this, but this is a thicker booklet than it would, because the more pages you put in it, the more it costs. And they would send it around to everyone in town, and what it was, we could put in the booklet what we want, it being the 250th anniversary. I think a lot of, we almost know what the front cover is going to look like. And you could have events that are going to take place in the 250. You could have things in whatever information you wanted to put in about the town. When we get the casino, and that would be in the future, you could have a booklet like this available in the different places around town to tell people who come into town what's available. And you could have advertising in here that might support the booklet. So it's something to think about. I'm going to get more details, but I thought I'd put it out for now, and something to think about. And it might help with economic development. We can put in what we want. We mail it to the residents in the town. I guess the taxpayers, they'd have whoever you send the tax bills go to would probably be a good group, and you can get a bulk mailing rate that's pretty reasonable. But for a smaller book, it estimated it would be about $4,000 to have one mailing of. And then we produced 8,000 books, and we wouldn't mail 8,000, they might mail 6,000, but I guess the price for 6,000 is the same, producing it is the same as 8,000, but, so I'll get some more details, but I just thought I'd bring it to your attention.
Is that in conjunction with what the anniversary committee is doing?
No, this was really brought up by Melissa, and she said, we could, somebody contacted her because this example that I put out is for just Parks and Recreation. And
were you planning to do something like that or anything?
We've already done a mass mailing back in the fall last year, just kind of saying who we are, what we're doing in town.
Yeah.
So we've already done one mass mailing, but they're expensive, so we just can't afford to do another one. And it didn't bring that much money that we kind of hoped it would.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do it again.
so it's just something to think about. And I'll when I come to the next meeting, I'll have more information.
Is that something you do annually, or is that something you do semi-annually? Or?
You could do it semi-annually, or you could do it annually.
These things change.
They do, and some things would be the same, and some things would change. And so certainly events for the day, or for the year, and calendar for the year would change. So
If you did it semi-annually, it would seem to me as if you could always find a half a dozen feel-good stories in town that would, make the people in town feel better about what we're doing and how we're going about it.
that's true. If you did it, like I say, every 6 months or once a year, you could have a list of things that you've done that year and what you're planning on doing next year. So that'd be another feature you could put in there.
I have a question while I'm thinking of it. After the celebration, you can have a parade and all that, right?
Yep, September 22nd.
Okay. After all that, I think from when they had it in '68,
Mhm.
that was the last one, I guess, '68,
Yeah.
that, didn't they publish something like the annual report? It was a book
yeah.
on the whole thing, and that was sold?
That
Yeah.
was, because they had only done it for, I think, like 3 days or something like that. So they kind of had more of a shortened time period. They could type everything up and have a
Yeah.
booklet, but since we're doing it for 9 months, it kind of didn't make sense for us to do it since we're still planning everything
Right,
for the final event still now. So we couldn't like type up a book ahead of time to sell it. But we could do something for the final event, kind of, I
That's
guess.
kind of what I was thinking,
Yeah.
I was wondering what your plans were, if you were gonna do that, you had pictures of people in the parade and all that kind of stuff. And people, back then, they bought all
Right.
of those as a memento of the occasion.
So we'll still have one.
Yeah, you still have one.
I've been given several
All
of
right,
them,
Yeah.
good.
so.
So you know what they actually look like, the way they were back then?
Yeah, yeah,
And
we
I
could
remember
certainly do
when
something like
Titus was
that.
our resident state trooper, and they had a picture of him in there. He had a picture of the people in the parade, different things
Were
going on.
you in there?
What was it, wild weeds were there.
Were you in there?
In what?
In the booklet?
No, I wasn't in the booklet. I was a wild child then, my muscle car.
You were too young for
I
that.
was too young. I didn't graduate till '72. I was still in school,
Was that elementary school?
I remember the wild weeds out in the back. They had the big stage set up out behind the high school. That was a hell of a party. Yeah. Remember, what is it? They used to call it Pedro's Cathedral, the tavern down there on Route 5. And they had the tractor trailer flatbed with the bathtub and the dance hall grill and a swing going back and forth. You don't remember that?
Towns, I remember that.
That was fun. That was funny. That was so funny. They had the shower thing actually pumping water with the guy in the bathtub. It was funny. Yeah.
Good.
Okay,
It was a
we'll
good-
move
it
on
was-
to the tax
I'll
refunds.
tell you, it was a good time. That was one hell of a party that year. Yeah, that was a good time.
Guess you were old enough.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, moving on to tax refunds, I would entertain a motion to approve the tax refunds.
I'll make a motion to refund the amount of $15,885.44.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
It's always good when people get money back.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in here, I saw that, I was reading too.
Okay. So, selectmen reports. Steve, you have anything, any comments or reports?
I was gonna talk about the casino with the wetlands, but I did that earlier. Just hope everybody had a nice holiday and was keeping warm. We are in for a heat wave,
That's true.
yeah.
Andy?
The Economic Development Commission has not met since the last meeting we had. I think we should contact the chairman and ask him about the status of the commission. The last minutes of meetings that were up for approval a week or so ago were back in July, and they haven't met since. I really do believe that, Eric is a very fine chairman. He's very busy. He has a business in Rhode Island, and one of our members is a University of Connecticut student, and I frankly don't know the other people, but all I do know is that the last meeting that you and I attended, there was one board member, we outnumbered them 5 or 6 to 1. So I think something has to be done with that commission, and is it urgent? I'm not sure it is, because my experience when I was on that commission is that we were pretty much information gathering. We really didn't do a lot because we didn't know how to go about doing it. In talking to the economic development chiefs in South Windsor, and in Enfield, they used the Economic Development Commission people as hands and feet to do things that their office wanted to get done. And we don't have that kind of a person. The only person we have like that is either you or Laurie. And so I really think we have to decide how to reconstitute that commission and what their goal is near term. And that goal may change if we do in fact decide as a town to hire an economic development director. Then I think all of a sudden that commission might become more useful.
I agree with what you're saying. Okay. And Charlie, you want to add something?
Yeah, I was the liaison from the board to the Warehouse Point Fire Department. I did go to their commissioners meeting Monday this week, and it was a good meeting. They're pretty detailed and thorough in things that they go through and so forth. There is a question, I said I'd bring that back here, is that they said that they had sent a letter to you on November 8th asking if they were going to be in the budget process, and that they hadn't gotten a reply yet.
Okay.
So they're, you should tell them what it is that they aren't, whatever it might be.
Well, this is what I would say, that I will put them in the budget. I put them in the budget last year, but I only put them in for like $40,000 or something because I figured we might be able to build it up. And what my goal was, until we can solve this problem about equitable funding of the two fire departments, I thought that if we gave the Broadbrook and the Warehouse Point Fire District the same amount of money, that would be, at least make it equitable, a fair tax. And I figured we'd have to build it up because you just can't get $400,000 and it's not available. And I'll put it in the budget again this year, but I'm not sure how much. And then on February 1st, I'll give it to you guys, and you can kick it around, and we'll have a discussion on it. But that's my perspective now.
I just think we should just get back to them so that they get some direction as to what's going to be moving forward, kind of thing. And we do need to get this thing together, in terms of how they're taxing all this stuff, what's going to happen moving forward. Because, that's a separate meeting solely for that, because that's going to take some work to understand what Broadbrook does, what they do, and so forth. And just off the top of my head, I certainly don't see, and again, this is off the top of my head, that they each get equal funding. I think there's different needs for different parts, and they can't possibly be the same. So, to give them both the same amount of money, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, what I would say is, we as a town now, we give to Broadbrook what we feel they need. And I would say, really, Warehouse Point probably has a greater need than Broadbrook for fire protection. So they'll probably need more money than Broadbrook gets. And when we were funding both departments, it used to be that way, that Warehouse Point would get more than Broadbrook. But it was all it was all town funded. And the taxpayers were funding both. But now if Broadbrook needs more, then they can go tax their district for more. But by giving them both the same amount of money, it would be kind of making it more equitable than saying that the town will pay for all of Broadbrook's, but none of Warehouse Point's. That's really not a good equitable
Well, we
arrangement.
have to look at it line by line, you know, how one department spends, and what they have to spend it for, and what the other one spends, and why they have to spend it for that, and then you see where you are. Because
Yeah.
I think people get paid differently, and.
Well, I agree with
a lot
what
of
you're
different
saying.
sources there, so.
But
we
where are
need
you gonna get the money? That would be the question.
Well, yeah, but we need to know what it is.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I'm sure they want to know and everything else, so we need to get into that.
Okay.
You know,
We can do
I
that.
think as soon as we can. And the other thing that was brought up, and I didn't certainly have an answer for it, but the annual report, I was very disappointed in the fact that, you know, come the 29th or whatever it was of December, to assemble the Board of Selectmen to approve the annual report, that report had to have been done long before that. When the fiscal year ended.
We always struggle to get it done by the last week of the year, and that's because the audit isn't available to us until mid-December. So it would, and the charter says we have to have it done by the end of the year.
Right.
So, and really, what's an annual report without having financial information in it? So
I haven't looked through it to see how much financial
there
information,
could be more.
but
The last 2 pages are
I'm
really,
I'm told that it's very brief.
yes.
Okay, so to wait several months for that is inexcusable. And to have the write-ups that are in there, and the thing that they had mentioned and very unhappy about, and I understand that, is that they're not in the annual report, the Warehouse Point Fire Department. And I don't understand that.
Say it again, Charlie?
The Warehouse Point Fire Department does not have a page in the annual report. And why is that?
They certainly could have a page, the annual report, and we can do it next year.
But they had been in there before,
Well, they weren't in there last year.
yeah?
The annual report is made by the Board of Finance, and the person who heads it up is the treasurer. Now, we didn't have a treasurer, so Amanda put that thing together, and it was done with nobody's help, and she did it based on last year's annual report, and I have to praise her for doing it. And so it was done without a lot of input. It was kind of based on last year's report, that's how it was done.
I think when we get to the third quarter of next year, we should have some discussion about what this one was and what the expectations of the write-up should be from the departments that are in there. Because the prior ones that I have read are non-material.
I sat in your seat, I agree with what you're saying. I think we need a treasurer, I think that's what I'm saying.
No, it's not treasurer, because the write-ups from the different departments, the treasurer doesn't write those.
She organizes the book.
She
Yes.
organizes it, but that comes from all the different entities.
Yeah, right, and that,
Right?
I agree with you. And
That's the problem.
Well, and if we as a board want to have a different type of annual report, we can do that. And when we have to start, I would say, maybe in July, saying what we want.
That's fine.
Yeah, that would be fine.
We need to be informative to the people of the town, the taxpayers. That is not informative,
Okay,
period.
Can you say something?
sure you can say something.
Probably the reason why they weren't in that book, they chose to leave the town of East Windsor. Probably, it was only maybe a handful of people that voted to put that tax in. Maybe they brought their dogs to vote too, I don't know. But they left East Windsor. We didn't kick them out, all right? So they're in their own little world down there, okay? They're taxing the people, they got their own little money. The monies that we were giving them, we don't have to give them anymore, okay? So I'm against giving them any money unless they get rid of the fire tax.
Okay,
Then I'm for support.
well,
But right now, the first year it was $400,000. The next year, they jacked it to $600,000. I went to one of their meetings one time, and I asked them, I said, well, what are you gonna do with that extra $180,000 that you don't talk about that you're probably gonna get from the casino? What are you gonna do with all that money? Right? Well, we're gonna have to give the people down here a tax break. I said, that sounds wonderful, you know? So, they left us, we didn't leave them. We don't owe them a dime unless they wanna get rid of that fire tax. Now it'll be equal all through the town. The town with the casino coming here and everything, we should be able to support these services
well,
without any of this taxing going on.
well, I disagree when you say they left the town of East Windsor. They're an organization, a volunteer organization in the town of East Windsor that helps the residents
I
of
understand
East
all that.
Windsor.
I understand
Whether those
all that.
residents are in Ross Point or they're in Windsorville. You know, when that barn burned down by me, you know, they were there along with a lot of other fire departments. You know, everybody works together. They didn't leave, they didn't go somewhere else, they're here, Steve. You know? And we should learn to get along and, you know, have things that are mutually beneficial and to cut them out of the annual report when they were charging the fire tax up until, what, 1975 or something?
Right, they did for a while and then they got rid
Oh,
of
okay.
it.
They were in the annual report then.
I don't know that.
I don't know why
I
they're
know
not
that.
in the
I don't
annual
know that.
report.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
I did the research, okay. So we can't get emotional about it, you know? It's
I'm not
what is-
emotional, I'm just
what is
telling you the
right.
facts.
What is right, you know? There's 2 fire departments, and I always believe there'll be 2 fire departments, you know, and they both provide an invaluable service to the people of this town, throughout the entire town. It doesn't matter what time of day or night or temperature, they'll come.
I understand that.
And
But you gotta realize, for all the years, it was kind of a rivalry between the two. It was, okay? We had the carnivals and all the parades and everything going on, you know? When people went to
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah.
People don't go to these anymore. You know, they're too busy doing whatever they do. I think it should be one fire department. East Windsor Fire Department in the town of East Windsor pays to run them. That's what I think, and you get rid of that tax. Now, you know, all those people have to do down there, if they would leave their houses, turn off the TV, and go and vote, they could vote that out. You know that? Just like that, they could vote it out. That's all they gotta do.
yeah, but I just want to say my 2 cents, because I got 2
Yeah.
cents also. When you said that the Rouse Point Fire District left us, they really didn't. They were pushed out. And
Well, I know all that too, but I wasn't gonna talk about it.
okay, well, that's, I don't want to blame them for not being part of us.
Yeah,
'cause
right. You
we-
weren't sitting here then.
Well, that's, and for many reasons, they were pushed out. They thought, when they left, that there'd be a fire tax for Warehouse Point and a separate fire tax for Broadbrook. And then, at the last minute, the town couldn't do it because it was illegal. So we said, we can't do it, but they weren't in the budget at that point, so they had to fund themselves, and they had no choice. So they actually asked to come back, and the Board of Finance said no, because it was too late. So it was a bad situation.
So why is it too late now for them to come back to us?
It isn't.
Okay.
We're willing to, like Charlie says, if they give us line items and the town votes to fund them, there's no reason why they couldn't come back.
But they gotta get rid of the fire tax.
They would have to get rid of the fire tax if we're gonna give them the money they need.
Okay.
So I don't know,
I'm for that.
and I too think there should be one fire department, but I just assume they have one fire district for the whole town, but I know that people don't like fire districts.
You'll
so-
never get the people on this side to vote for that.
I agree with that too. So anyway, this is another can of worms, but,
Another can of worms, right?
all right, so I don't really have anything, no comments or just Thanks for being here and working on the town. Okay, so we're now down to public participation.
We have to have some now.
All right.
All right, thanks, Charlie. I like what you said about the annual report. Every page in this annual report is a department in town with the exception of the Warehouse Point Library. And this is not anti-Warehouse Point Library. They're a private entity. So I questioned, why are they there? And I did get a response from Marie D'Souza. Well, they're in the budget, so
We give them money.
that's right. We give them money. And so they're in here. However, they're the only page that doesn't indicate how much money they got or what they do with it. But, yes, if the Warehouse Point Fire District, it's not the fire department, the fire district is the one that's doing the taxing. The fire department's a department. They're
Right.
separate entities. But if they're gonna be in here, I want the Broadbrook Library in here. We're a public service.
Yeah, I agree.
We're in the same status as this association, with the exception is we got cut out of the budget, which is, to me, okay, or maybe no non-town agency should be in there. I think the discussion is excellent as to what should this expensive report contain. And that's the missing thing. It's not so much this or that. It's what should it contain, and what is it trying to tell the public?
Well, from my perspective, the more information you can give to people, the better it is. That people get this annual report, someone wants to move to this town, here's our annual report, here's all the entities that you have the libraries here, there, you know. How else do you tell them that? Am I right?
I'm not disagreeing, all I'm saying is it's a good discussion over what should be in here, why it should be in here, and if somebody's getting money and they're not telling you what they do with it, but everybody else is, every other department does, that doesn't seem fair to me. So, I just throw it,
No, I agree with you, and I
little
think
pieces, you know, that's a
I think
discussion.
what Charlie said, and I think it's a good idea too. I noticed that for years, I haven't been satisfied with what's in that report. So we should, if we really want to make it the way we want to make it, then I think in July we should start.
And we have time this year.
Yeah,
That'd
that's,
be great.
yeah, we need some more
I like it.
workers. But we can make some changes. Okay, more public participation. Kathy.
Kathy Simonelli, 71 Depot Street. I've talked about this before at public meetings, and I just want to keep reiterating it because I think it gets lost. If we take money from the casino, particularly the mitigation fund money, but certainly even the tax money once they're here, and we use that money to lower the tax rate, we have to be mindful of the fact that that also means that we lower how much money they give us. They are operating on a fixed assessment. They're not giving us a fixed dollar amount. If our tax rate goes down, so does the amount of money they provide us.
Exactly.
And I think that continually gets lost in discussions. So if you throw a whole bunch of money, $3 million, at our taxes and drop that, our base rate by that amount, I think you're going to, I haven't done the math. I'm sure Gail could handle it much better than I. I'm sure there's more intricacies than just throwing a percentage at it. So I have not attempted to do that because I don't feel that that would be accurate. But I think it would take a huge chunk out of the $5.5 million that we're expecting to get in tax revenue from them. And I think that that needs to stay in the forefront of the minds of people making decisions about what to do with that money.
There's got to be some reasonable balance, though, isn't there?
I'm not saying that we should never use any, I mean, I think my personal opinion is that we should save the mitigation fund until there's a fair amount of money in there. If we don't need it all right away, don't spend it all right away. That's fine. But we don't know that 10 years from now, we might need more than $3 million a year. And if we haven't built that fund up to be able to balance whatever goes on, then over some time, until we have some experience with it, then I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. I would not put any of it back in the general fund for some period of time, kind of a long period of time, until we have a history
I
that we
agree
can
with
kind
that.
of depend on.
I agree.
So that's my personal feeling, and I certainly wouldn't throw it at the tax to reduce taxes instantly, and then we're in a spiral down, because now the tax is less, so we're getting less, and we have less to pay out to cover whatever may come. I think we just do ourselves a huge disservice and by not thinking more forward than that.
But that's a very easy thing to analyze, isn't it? You should be able to sit down and just make numbers.
Right.
And draw a curve.
Yeah.
And say if you do this, you know.
And I played with percentages a little bit, but I know that there's more to the town budget than simply saying, well, if we reduce this, then that goes down by the same amount. So I didn't try to put real numbers to it for a discussion, but I think it adds up to a fair amount of money.
I have said not to lower taxes, say keep it level. Don't go up. Keep it level.
I heard that tonight, but I've
And
heard
if-
other
and if
things at
you-
other
and if
times.
you-
But I'm not trying to say,
No, but if you-
I'm just saying overall, I think we should be saving that mitigation fund money for a while. I don't think we should cap it at first. I think that does us a disservice. I think we should hang on to it, we should store it, we should use it as we need it, and as we gain experience, then, you know, maybe it takes 5 years of the casino operating before we have enough experience to say, okay, this is where we're gonna be, and now we know what that is, and we can carefully plan how to expend what we don't need there in other ways. But there's a lot of things besides police. If we get all the people coming in from, say, Ellington to come down to the casino, our roads are gonna need a lot of work. Roads are expensive. I'm on set. I know how much roads cost now.
You have excellent roads in this town.
Yes, we do. But we constantly have a list of roads that need more work.
Every year Lenny fixes roads.
We could fix them a lot better than the gravel I drove on this year, but that's, I'm not,
You're
he does
talking
the
about
best
the
he
chip
has with the
sealing,
money
right?
that he has.
The chip sealing.
Exactly,
I call that a cheap paint job.
exactly. And we could do a better job if we could give Lenny more money to do it properly.
And that's what I'm for doing with a lot of this money. All the parking lots in this town need to be paved. We need a new police department.
I
in
would
my
agree, the
opinion. We
chief
don't
would
need
love to take
14
his winter coat
officers.
off, I'm sure, in the
We need a
winter
new
time.
building for these guys. Okay, that's what we need. That's a disgusting, disgraceful looking police department. You want
But
my
again,
opinion.
I would not jump to do all kinds of crazy things. I would hoard for a little while, and then I'd wait and see where we end up.
This town's been hoarding for years. You know?
Well, okay,
Yeah,
but
you're
I,
right about that it would harm us more if you did reduce, because you, just off the top of my head, you know, you just take 2%.
Mm-hmm.
The average
2%
homeowner-
off of 5.5 mil is
Yeah,
a lot of
okay.
money.
And the average homeowner, let's say it's 5,000 tax, right? I'd say it's somewhere in that ballpark. 2% is what?
Don't ask me to do math. So
Right?
10% would be 500,
$100.
so $100.
It's $100.
Not a lot of money.
So
It's
the
not-
average homeowner,
Doesn't
You know,
save a lot.
it's not gonna be material, but it will be on the casino.
Exactly.
So you're 100% right, that's why you gotta be very careful with that.
And which is why I just keep bringing it up when I have the opportunity.
yeah,
No.
and I'd encourage you to come back again and say it again, because that kind of opened my eyes and said, you're right, and I haven't heard that. I was thinking about other things, so that's great.
I've said it at a few town meetings, but
Well,
I think it gets forgotten, which is why I'm repeating myself.
Okay, thanks. John?
John Matthews, Melrose. Let me go back to the ordinance for the casino fund. We don't get much opportunity while you're discussing it to add our 2 cents. But I agree with Steve. I agree with the discussion that the second paragraph is really not appropriate for this ordinance. There's really 2 elements to those funds, the receipt and the deposit. And secondly, the appropriation, what you're going to do with those funds. And I believe you really need 2 ordinances. Number 1, this one that defines how you're going to receive it and deposit it. and I would, if you want a second sentence, I would say the appropriation of these funds will be defined by a separate ordinance. As simple as that.
I like it, I like that.
And then you come back with that second ordinance to, you know, and it has to be every bit as well defined as our charter defines how we set an annual budget every year. How you accept requests for those, who's gonna screen them, how they're gonna go to the voters, and how they get final approval. So,
Good idea.
so this ordinance could just take the first paragraph, I think it's very good. Drop the second paragraph and replace it with the appropriation of these funds will be defined by a separate ordinance.
Okay.
My foot.
Bill?
Bill Lowsmithers Road. I still think we need a town treasurer in this town, and I think the board of selectmen have been dragging their feet trying to get one. It's a money item. You gotta put a little more money in there to get a good treasurer. We need a treasurer in this town.
We don't
You
want to
can't
spend
run a
the
town
money.
without a treasurer.
Nobody wants to spend the money, Bill.
Well, they have to spend the
I
money
know
to
they
get a good
do. You
treasurer.
want somebody good, you gotta spend the money. And that's
That's
what I
right.
keep saying.
I agree with you.
Spend some money and get some good people.
There's money in that treasurer's account to pay for a good treasurer.
What's the status currently of the applicant?
Al, we're gonna talk about that in the executive session.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Tom?
Tom Delamini, 23 Rice Road. I think I'm missing with here that, you know, our town goes up $800,000 it costs us every year for taxes. We're gonna get a $5 million tax from the casinos. This $3 million should not be anywhere involved in the general fund if we're gonna get that much tax money. That's, I don't know what they pay now for taxes, but it certainly isn't $5 million.
The
That's what they're
showcase?
paying now for showcase.
I
I
think
mean,
it's based on 4 million, I think, so it's
I mean, basically, they're.
1%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're basically, what I mean, we're gonna have an extra $4 million in tax money
Yeah.
that we shouldn't have, and if our taxes, it costs us X amount of dollars every year,
Mm.
we still should have a surplus of this $5 million.
For
That
yes.
should be in the general fund, that should be helping the taxpayers out.
Yes, it will, but also realize it's not gonna happen for 2 years.
I understand that, but I mean, I'm just saying, we kind of forget that picture, that we got $5 million coming into the general fund.
Yeah. taxes
Every
over
year.
there. Yeah.
I mean, maybe not instead of lowering taxes or keeping taxes the same, try to do something to help the seniors with that. I know I'm gonna vote for that in this room. If we do something for the seniors, like when they turn 70 or something, freeze their taxes on their houses, so they don't have to pay more taxes. They got a fixed budget number. I mean, I know in upstate New York, some town up there does that, and I think that's a great idea. For somebody that's 70 years, you keep them in town maybe. Might keep one more resident in town because they can afford to live in town. I mean, I think that's a good way of using that money.
It's done in a number of places.
I think it is. I mean, I
It was
just know
done
that
here
one town.
in East Windsor for a while.
I don't think we really did the program right.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but there was a.
I think we were
there
trying.
There were tax freezes
Right.
at
we were
certain
trying.
ages.
Yeah, but with this money, we could keep it level and everybody
Right,
could
that's,
get the break, not just the elderly, everybody.
right.
And you know, by doing that, if we know what we're gonna get for 5 years from the casino fund, correct? Because
Yes.
it's a fixed amount because we had nothing to judge them by, okay? So if we advertise this, talk about economic development, start advertising it right now. And tell people, tell the businesses, come to East Windsor, your taxes will be held flat for 5 years. So the guy that gets in on the first year, he's gonna get 5 years of no tax increase. The guy that comes in on the fourth year, okay, you got maybe 1 or 2 of that little gift. But I think this is a good way of bringing business into this town. If they know their taxes won't go up for 5 years straight. Only when you get here and you get built, this is your tax, it stays flat for 5 years. And we can do this with all this money coming in. This is a lot of money. This is a gift. The town won the lottery, for God's sakes, you know? And they're not gonna go out of business.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, let's go. Keep
Okay,
going.
Kurt.
Kurt Monstream, 278 South Main Street. My first thing, I'd like to thank you for putting together the mill site committee. I hope this really moves forward, and I hope the board and whoever else is involved, whatever decision we do come up with, I hope it's acted on quickly. I think your attitude, Steve, just get it done. I'm all for preservation, 100%. But if it can't be saved, it really should be just put to bed, one way or another. And I want to see the building saved. I'm going to go right into that committee and tell everybody that's what I want. But whatever this committee decides in our length of times or meetings, it really should be acted on, and then the fire should be put under that UTC, AS, or whatever it is now, and really just make it happen, because it really is a sore spot in this beautiful part of town.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah, it really is. It's just on and on and on.
Have you been in the building yet, Kurt?
No, and I can't wait to. But I'm
You're
gonna
gonna be
save
glad,
it.
you're gonna go in, and you're gonna be, thank God you made it out alive. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see with the committee. I hope it all works
And
out well.
we'll have our first meeting soon.
Right,
Take the whole committee in that building.
all right.
We should.
And,
We
the
should
draft here, I
change your
agree with
minds.
John's comments on the draft. I think the first thing, I think that works out great. But I do think with that $3 million, I know we're in a pinch for the treasurer or whatever we're doing there, but I really do highly suggest that economic development director. I mean, the casino, as we all know, is the tip of the iceberg for this lottery. And it might only be a 12 or 15-year window of all this boom, but you gotta coordinate it correctly. And with this town, and I mean, this person could be involved with everything right down to the annual report, make sure all this stuff is put together. I think that's super important. Now with the budget season, a thing to remember, and I'm just, my personal opinion, recording secretary monies, there's a lot of these requests, as you know, I'm associated with a lot of these different commissions, and a lot of them is a month, you know, one day a month, you know, and you try and, but some of these programs, especially with this casino, I think, you know, the conservation, especially in agriculture, a lot of these things are gonna have, in the grant world, they all generate around some of these. I think if we really put a level of professionalism on these commissions, I mean, we all pitch in and do the minutes and do the best we can, and we shuffle it all to Peg, who's the best thing going in the town, as far as, you know, she's amazing. So if we can't clone Peg 12 times, then we really gotta...
You're raising my salary, you realize
So, you know, I just really think all these commissions across the board are really, and they're really, it's trying to get more people volunteers. Every group that we have, the biggest problem is, you know, we're all a part of it right here. This room should be packed every meeting. So I think, keep that in mind, please, when you're going through the budget process. I really think that's important, to really add a level of professionalism to every board that needs it. And then the last thing is I really wasn't thinking too much about it, but the drug stuff, and what you know, my personal opinion, I don't think the Board of Selectmen should be deciding what to do. But to do nothing would be worse. So I think as a board, even as you say, like the low-hanging fruit, even if the board purchased posters to plaster all over the high school, you gotta do something and put your name to it and back it, and not just do something whole half-assed and, you know, we're not gonna solve it. I don't think that's I think honestly, you know, keep it low level at the Broadbrook School across the street, but I think as a Board of Selectmen, you really should find something, you know, you can't spend, you don't have the time. There's no possible way you could spend a lot of time with it. But just something, like I said, even the posters, or just something, 'cause I think it'd be a shame, all the, you know, the deaths, it is a shame. And that, you know, just to do nothing would be worse than anything. Rather get ridiculed for having cheap posters up, or something, or a dare car, you know, it's a shame, it's something, but it's something.
Yeah.
You know, you really have to find some avenue to get the word out there. It's a shame. That's all I got, thank you.
I just have one more thing. Steve brought it up about the tax thing. Has anybody heard what Calamar is doing with the apartments on 140?
I mean,
They put
not in the last month or so, but it seemed like they're really ready to go.
I mean, I think that would be something that, like Lori maybe, or somebody should just drop them a note and see where they stand. I mean,
Oh, no,
I mean, there are a lot of tax dollar right there too. That's, I mean, what, I think the sewer bond out of that was a.
At the next
good
meeting,
chunk of
I'll
money.
have a lot of detail, because Rand's going to give them the building permit, and he's intimately talking to them.
Okay, so they are still coming.
Oh, no question about it, it's just a matter.
I mean, it's just, you just,
property.
yeah, you just don't hear nothing anymore.
They don't need to tell us.
But no, we can get the detail.
But you know something, with the casino coming, they might think a hotel would look a lot better there.
I
Now,
bet
they.
they'd be thrilled to have the
Senior
seniors there, it's a
home
shorter walk.
Yeah.
They'll have a bus going from that place right over to the bingo hall.
Yep.
They'll have a car, 24 hours a
I'm
day.
gonna buy a bunch of shuttle buses,
Yeah.
new business.
And also, I think with the, if you ever do a brochure, I think a mailing's a bad idea with that brochure.
Oh, really?
I think if you're going to hand out the brochure, I think it'd be more effective if you put them in businesses, like Geisler's and
Big Y.
the package stores, Big Y, all those places, because the people that want them will take them. If you mail them, they get them in the mail,
They go in the garbage.
they don't do anything. I mean, we saw that with the 250.
Yeah.
Sure did.
We paid a lot of money with the 250. We paid, it was over $3,500, I think, and we did not get that money back. That money did not come back.
Be a good business card for that economic development director.
Yeah.
You would.
That's all I have, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, this is a good meeting. This is the kind of info we need, and we'll have to do something with that website too. So I'm glad I passed it out. Okay, well, if there's no more public participation, then we'll go into executive session.
Have a couple minute break.
Yeah, 5-minute break, so we'll go into executive session in 5 minutes. The motion.
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session in 5 minutes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Oh, God.
That work for you? So I'll try to promote that.